Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Rogue Wave podcast, the frequency for all things pop culture and the disruptors behind it. We talk comics, movies, TV, and pop culture every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, facebook.com/Rogue Matter Podcasts. Download this podcast. Immediately follow the live stream on all major podcasting apps. Go to Rogue Wave Podcast, that's wave without an E.com to subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Join the movement. Go Rogue, roguematter.com. Tonight,
God, dude, seriously.
Queen's Gambit ratings, Baby Yoda name controversy, Mandalorian reaction, and more Star Wars news. And we welcome Tokyo Blade detective writer Todd Black. He's going to host his own mini podcast within our podcast because we're just out of ideas.
Because we don't have enough to do. We don't have enough work to do, basically. Okay.
I am your host, Michael Dolce, as always, joined by my cohort,
Hello.
the Lord of
the Lord of the Radio. Stop calling me the Lord of the live stream.
No,
that's
you
not
Lord
even
of the live stream. You went back to Lord of the live stream. Remember, you announced it.
No, I went to. All right, never mind.
Wait, do you identify as Lord of the live stream?
Or
do you identify as Lord of the Radio?
I identify as Lord of the Radio.
You need to forgive me if I am not caught up to date.
Do I need to wear a radio for you to call me the Lord of the Radio?
Actually,
Is that what has to happen?
That would help.
Okay. All right.
That would help.
I'll get a radio hat, and then that'll be indicative enough for you to be able to call me by the right name. But Lord of the live stream. We don't even do a live stream. We broadcast live on Facebook. We don't do a live stream. So that doesn't even. I'm not even in my right purview if you're calling me that. I'm just a guy in the wrong place.
It's live, it's a live stream.
Fine. I'm
not
not going to argue. It's a waste of time to argue.
The word says live at the top. The live stream. What are you? So I got to tell you, not what are you? Been reading.
What am I? I am the Lord of the Radio. That's what I am.
I've been reading a lot of comics lately because I have
reading
another
comics.
podcast. Yeah, I have another podcast that's coming out. And see, you're not the only one without another podcast.
Oh,
go hype your sentimentals.
Is it a competition? Is it a race?
Well, now it is. Now it is.
You read comic books? You are doing another podcast that mandates that you read comic books?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
That's an awesome podcast. How come we don't do that on this podcast?
Yes. It is called Wednesday Forever. And it is co-starring Victor Dandridge, friend of the show.
Comic Book Day.
And we are going to be launching in January. And it is all about, it's kind of the toys that made us, but for comics, we pick, Victor and I pick a inspirational or influential comic, and we try to grab the creators behind it. And they kind of give us
it's very clever how you managed to slip in a promo for another show in the midst of, in the guise of explaining exactly what your preamble is.
I recently just finished. We got to interview Daryl Banks, and I just finished this book, which is kind of cool because the green blends in.
That's very funny. It's very funny.
Yeah, I just finished Green Lantern Volume 1 with Kyle Rayner. And I got to tell you, never was a big fan of Green Lantern back in the day when this stuff came out, even though Wizard Magazine at the time was like, you got to read this run. It's, Ron Mars, Daryl Banks, amazing. It started the whole women in refrigerators thing, which I didn't even know was a thing.
Yeah.
So we tackled all that with him, and I got to finish that. And I got to tell you, I loved it. Like, I loved the whole trade. Like,
really?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh my God. I was like, why did I not like this as a kid? I don't know.
Now, aren't they switching to trades now specifically? Like, aren't they doing something like first run trades or some? They're changing their publishing parameters significantly from what I heard.
Yeah. There's a lot of rumors, nothing confirmed, but a lot of rumors. So we'll get.
So you liked it. So you enjoyed Green Lantern. That's your bottom line, right?
Yes.
You enjoyed
that was
what did you enjoy about?
You know what?
Or is that putting you on the spot?
It felt like it was an actual adult comic book. It was made for adults, and maybe that's why I didn't like it when I was 14. We do cover X-Force #1 with Fabian Nicieza, and in one of the episodes, and he says to me, Rob and I knew we were making comics for 14-year-old boys, and I go, that's really amazing. I was like a 13-year-old boy when X-Force #1 came out, and it was, or 12 years old or whatever. And I was like, yeah, it totally spoke to me. So maybe that's just what it was. Maybe it's just, it's like discovering a CD you bought. Yeah, for all those people out there who are like, what's a CD?
What the hell?
And you loaded it on your iTunes. Sorry, when you buy an album, right? And then you kind of listen to it at a certain point in your life, and you're like, this isn't very good, or it just doesn't speak to you. And then like 10 years later, you're like, oh crap, I haven't listened to this in a long time. And you're like, wow, this is an amazing album. Like Throwing Copper to me was one of those records where when I was a kid, when I was 14, when it came out, like I liked it. I liked some of the songs on the radio, and I was like, whatever. And then like 6 years later, I was in college, and I was like, let me throw this on. I haven't listened to this in a long time. And I'm like, why did I not know this was the greatest single album a band could put out?
It really is a good album.
Yeah,
really is.
It was like I got to rediscover it. I got to.
And it is their best album. If you have all the other albums, it's kind of weird how that like I usually listen to an album from start to finish.
Oh, there's not a bad song on it.
No.
Like the what you might consider a bad song is still better than.
It's very 90s though. It is.
Oh yeah.
It screams 90s. It's like listening to a wah guitar from the 70s. Like it's that indicative of the 90s.
But that's equal. That's what I felt like when I was reading this Green Lantern trade. That I was basically rediscovering something that, because I know I tried to get into it when I was like 14, 15 years old. I didn't like the artwork. That's the other thing too. I actually commented to Daryl. I said, for some people's artwork doesn't translate to the coloring doesn't translate to up-to-date paper. No, to the paper quality. Back then it was newsprint. Back then it was newsprint, and certain and like computer generated colors back then were not good on newsprint. I felt versus like watercolor, which is what they did it in, or vice versa. Sometimes like the watercolor doesn't translate to like better quality paper because of the way they were coloring for newsprint. The coloring just popped in this trade. I was like very, very impressed with his artwork, and I know back in the day it didn't pop out to me. So it was kind of one of those, it's just rediscovering stuff, which I thought was actually pretty, like I said, it was a rediscovery, and I thought that was actually a pretty cool feeling, going through.
All right. Okay.
So
all right.
That is what I've been consuming. Let's dive into our Rogue Rage, all the rage in the pop culture world. Let's talk about what the rest of the world is consuming. Rogue Rage is just all Star Wars today, by the way, because nothing else seems to be happening that is because I guess they're just not making anything until Wonder Woman comes out. We will be heavy on the Star Wars. Mandalorian blasts into Nielsen's streaming top 10. The Disney Plus series makes its first appearance on the list for its season 2 debut, while The Queen's Gambit takes the top spot. The Mandalorian is just the second Disney Plus series to make the top 10 since the rating service started releasing weekly ratings in August. The streamer's premium VOD offering of Mulan ranked 10th in early September.
Well, is it their ratings, or is it worldwide ratings?
It's Nielsen's,
Disney's ratings, or
no, it's Nielsen's. Nielsen
Nielsen's
rating platform, which streaming platforms contend Nielsen's methodology doesn't capture the full scope because it only registers TV devices, though. Doesn't register streaming on other services. But look, it at least gives us a glimpse into stuff because
Mandalorian's a big deal. Mandalorian is a
right. And they rank it by minutes viewed. So Mandalorian ranked third in 1.3 billion minutes viewed. Can you do math? I can't do math. I don't know what that is in terms of hours.
I will not be able to. Yeah. I think that sounds impressive. That's all I can say. That sounds great. I don't know what it means, but it sounds great.
Speaking of what are you consuming, The Queen's Gambit ranked number 1 at 1.85 billion minutes viewed. So it crushed The Mandalorian, at least according to this.
Well, it's a pretty good show. It really is a pretty.
You know what? I ended up watching the first episode because of all of the hype behind it.
Why does only watch the first episode, man? Commit, man. Make a commitment.
No, I literally finished it this morning. I finished
this morning.
Yeah,
this morning for the sake of the show. Then
yeah, actually, I was like, you know what? Yeah. This thing's number 1.
You're a mercenary. You mercenary watched it.
It stars Magic from New Mutants.
Yeah,
didn't even know that. I looked at her. I was like, she looks so familiar. She's got.
Well, she has the hair is a little different.
Right,
You
but
know,
she's also got such a, like a unique face. Like
And
I
she
feel like I was like I know
she's
her
got
from somewhere.
enormous eyes. Her
She
eyes are pretty
does.
enormous.
She
Yeah.
does. Beautiful woman. And she was in and I was like looking up her filmography, and lo and behold, New Mutants. I was like, "Oh, get out of here."
What's her name?
Oh, it's Taylor or something or other.
Oh my God.
Look, I only watched one episode. You watched the whole thing. How do you not know?
That's right. And I'm asking, you're the one talking about it. So I'm like, come on, what's her name? What's her name? Like for the fans, for the audience.
Anya Taylor-Joy.
There you go. Well done.
Anya Taylor-Joy.
Well done. Now we're legitimate. Now we're a legitimate show.
Now here's the thing, because she starred in the New Mutants, we could review Queen's Gambit next week. Didn't think I could pull that one
Next
out.
week. Yeah, we should be reviewing it this week because I saw it. I watched all of it. Now I got to wait a whole week and retain my memory because you can't sit down and watch a show. And folks, let me just be honest. I'm going to blow up the spot right now. He's going to watch 2 more episodes and then claim he watched the whole thing.
That is
and then
not
try
true.
and then try to ride the entire review
That is not
on
true.
me.
We said first 5 episodes of Hellstrom, and I watched the first 5 episodes of Hellstrom.
We did not say the first 5 episodes of the Queen's Gambit, though. So, all right, never mind.
Well, I didn't say. I don't know. I'm just saying we could review it next week, and it counts.
We can
it's
review
in our wheelhouse.
Are we going to review the whole show next week, though? That's
yeah, we'll figure it out. What's it? 8 episodes?
Figure it out. Huh?
8 episodes?
I believe it's 8, either 8 or 7. 7 or 8.
You watched it. You got to tell me.
So I watched it a week ago.
All right, well, the rest of the world is apparently watching it as well, but only on TV. All right, moving on to some
It is
sad...
only on TV right now.
Well, no, you can watch it on your phone or your tablet. Moving on to some sad Star Wars news. Star Wars Darth Vader actor David Prouse passes away at 85. The Hollywood Reporter brings word that Star Wars legend David Prouse has died after a short illness. Prouse's agent confirmed the Darth Vader actor passed away on Saturday morning. His family did not release an immediate cause of death.
I have read an article, and this is unsubstantiated because I only read it in one place, but supposedly his illness was COVID related. No,
it was COVID related.
I'm being serious here. You goon.
Yeah.
We don't know that for certain though. We can't. We are not. We're not breaking the story. Rogue Wave is not breaking
you
this
just
story.
Did. It's out there.
No, where I know. I
look, if anybody actually
listened
listened to us and took our
hey man, lots of people listen to me. I don't know. You need to roll out your friends. That's what you need to do.
That's true. You know, your greatest supporters. Like my mom. My mom, by the way, loved. She loved the Jeopardy thing we did last week. She's like, you should do that more often.
Oh god, that is something only a mother would love.
Of course.
That little experiment in futility that you did last week. Yeah.
Turned out a lot better than I thought it was going to when I thought of the idea.
Yeah, that was terrible, man. Like in the midst of it going all kinds of different ways, I get a text from you saying this is going way better than I thought it was going. And I'm like, this is sad, man. But all right, never mind. Never mind.
It wasn't. It turned out really good.
All right, if you say so.
Hey, my mom thought so too. Very sad.
You know why it turned out great for me? Because I didn't play.
That's actually. I think that was the linchpin of why it was so good.
Okay. Fair enough.
I thought it was good.
All right. I'm done.
Real quick on the David Prouse. Stuff. It was his voice originally.
Yes.
That was the voice, and then George.
He
Lucas
was a voice actor.
Yeah, and then George Lucas
was like, this ain't gonna work.
Like you got the look. You ain't got the sound. And it was like very British too. It was like, you're going to give me the stolen plans now. Cheerio.
And one of the guys from and I see now I'm doing it wrong. One of the guys from the ILM is like, is he just gonna be a Scottish guy? Is that how this is gonna work? It's not good. So yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what's ironic is that James Earl Jones, who did the voice provided the voice for David Prouse's physical portrayal of Darth Vader, is a chronic stutterer. A man known for his voice has overcome the speech impediment to great success for himself.
Yeah.
But to think about Vader's voice And to think about that you know, the man who provided a voice was a stutterer. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
There was I remember my uncle a long time ago saying that David Prouse is the physicality of Darth Vader. James L. Jones provides the voice, and then there was a third track for the breathing that would go over would go under the voice and his, his physical performance. And it took 3 people in the original trilogy, 3 people to portray Darth Vader properly, the character of Darth Vader. And then if you add Jake Lloyd and Hayden Christensen, right?
Yeah.
That's 5 people in order to portray Vader. And then Liam, what's his name, who did the voice for in the Clone Wars,
right?
Who did the voice for Anakin Skywalker. And then whoever played him, I don't know necessarily who played him in Rogue Wave, in Rogue One.
I didn't know he had.
We do. It's a great
Darth
movie.
Vader.
Why weren't you in it? Why weren't you in the movie? That's what I want to know.
Is that Wave without an E?
Yeah, that's what we did wrong. That's why we weren't given any royalties for it.
Good.
In Rogue One, whoever played him, so that's like 7 people.
Yeah,
who portrayed, Darth Vader, and that's how preeminent the Darth Vader character is.
Oh, yeah.
So many people had to go together to amalgamize in order to portray this monster of a character.
It's as if
but David Prowse is the heart of it. He was the heart of it.
It's as if you knew what the next story was going to be, and and that is
I did know.
Yeah, well, that was.
I
said that for. Ryan Johnson reveals Anakin Skywalker's Force ghost was considered for The Last Jedi. This is from thedirect.com, although it's actually from his Twitter feed. In a recent Twitter thread, director Ryan Johnson talked about the development process of Star Wars The Last Jedi. In response, being asked whether he considered using Anakin's Force ghost for a conversation with Luke or Rey, Johnson said he did, but chose Yoda instead for the personal connection. Briefly for the tree burning scene, but Luke's relationship was with Vader, not really Anakin, which seemed like it would complicate things more than the moment allowed. Yoda felt like the more impactful teacher for that moment.
Yeah. You know what would have been kind of a cool thing if they had considered it, or what I would have rather they do in consideration was consider not having Ryan Johnson direct that film. That's what I really wish they had done. And it, shows what I know about show business, but I don't know. I think that would have been nice to see father and son like that, especially the dynamic of the father, because if they got Hayden Christensen to do it, he would be so much younger than his son. That would be that would be a substantial visual, right? That would be an amazing visual.
Yes.
Now, it is arguable that if they had,
and wouldn't it have made more sense if Anakin was the one burning the tree down because of how he felt he was wronged by the Jedi past, as opposed to Yoda?
Well, no, yeah. Also, it would have been great if because he became Darth Vader and he stepped off the Jedi path, and because he thought he was betrayed. Right. So to find Luke trying to burn everything down in order to destroy the Jedi, and Anakin would come and kind of talk him out of it, even though he let the tree burn down, but he would talk him out of it. That would be profound. That would also be really great because Mark Hamill in the film, Luke Skywalker states that one of the reasons that the Jedi needed to go was that the Jedi allowed Darth Vader to happen in the first place. They allowed him to fall. To the dark side.
Yeah.
So if Anakin actually showed up to say, "No, Noodlehead, look, just stay on the path, Knucklehead, and do what you're supposed to do, and get to Act 3 already because this movie's dragging on," right? That would have been amazing. That really would have been amazing.
It would have really connected all 9
instead of the
films.
really bad puppet that because I'm like, how does that puppet look bad 30 years after they made a puppet look realistic in Empire Strikes Back? 40 years after Empire Strikes Back, we're going to see a puppet and it looks terrible, because we wanted to go, we wanted to be traditionalist and we wanted to actually use a puppet instead of CG. Okay, great, but your puppet looks terrible next to Mark Hamill.
This website obviously
ghost puppet.
was a big fan of the Yoda scene. It's clear the theme of Last Jedi is failure. That was the theme. It failed.
Yes.
And Master Yoda was truly the only. I added that last part, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
And Master Yoda was truly the only
like
character capable of delivering this message to Luke. While the Skywalker has learned a lot. They call it the Skywalker. Has learned a lot since his appearance in the original trilogy. He still had much to learn. The personal relationship between Yoda and Luke makes the tree burning scene even more poignant, with the Jedi Master being the only one able to show Luke the error of his ways.
Look, I'm not going to say that Yoda doesn't work. Yoda and Luke have a connection.
It does.
I'm not going to say it doesn't work. I think Anakin would have worked also. I think Anakin would open a few more doors that that the Last Jedi just couldn't open, for just to break that story. But like I said, always, whenever this subject comes up and I start riffing on it, I've said enough about that movie.
That is well, I don't know if that's true. What do you guys think? Force Ghost Anakin? I actually would just like to have seen it. I think it really would have given a lot of closure to this. It's almost as if they didn't have a plan going in. What do you guys think? Comment on the Facebook feed. Let us know what you think. When we come back next, we'll talk Mandalorian. Say my name. What? When we come back.
Wow.
Welcome to Button Stash, the show about the best mustaches in gaming.
Casey, it's Button Smash. It's the new gaming podcast from the Rogue Matter Network. I don't know where you got mustaches from.
Well, I'm not shaving. But we will talk about gaming news, reviews, inside scoops, and retrospectives.
Join us live on twitch.tv/WeAreRogueMatter on Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, or download our episodes wherever you listen to your podcast.
But please, Casey, shave.
Welcome back to the Rogue Wave podcast, the frequency for all things pop culture and the disruptors behind it. Catch our sister podcast, Button Smash, every Thursday, twitch.tv/WeAreRogueMatter. All right.
Do they plug us? Because
yes, they do.
They do?
They do.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, no, they
all right,
do.
that's fair then. That's fair then.
Not only that, we gave them
you're
a
lying
free
to me,
episode
though.
last
I'm
week.
pretty sure you're lying to me.
No,
telling me that they do when they don't.
They run a commercial every they just like we do.
Commercial.
Good stuff.
All right. Okay, fair enough.
All right. Season 2 of Mandalorian kicked into high gear. The much anticipated Chapter 13, The Jedi, directed by Dave Filoni. Finally dropped. There was, it's funny. They never confirmed Rosario Dawson was Ahsoka Tano until.
Oh wow! Did you just do that?
I did.
Did you just? Ooh, you're going on a lot of lists right now, man.
Yeah,
fans are sharpening sticks all over the internet.
Again,
man.
if we had fans, then I'd worry about it. But we're good.
They'll find you. They'll find
Ahsoka
you. You don't
Tano.
even need to be.
Ahsoka Tano.
You don't need to be celebrity. Yeah. Did you have to look that up?
I also got away with a Bing, and you didn't even notice, so that's good.
I heard your Bing. I just didn't make a big deal out of it because I'm a better person than you. That's all.
So her character's finally introduced, which we kind of knew was going to happen. And comes on the heels of Bo-Katan. So there was, a lot of. Again, the funny part for me with all this kind of stuff is not that I wasn't a fan of Clone Wars. I never watched it. I just never watched it. I never watched Rebels. I never watched any of the animated stuff, even though it's supposed to be amazing. And maybe I will start watching it.
Fake fan.
I am a geek. I don't profess to be anything except a geek about Star Wars. I'm not a nerd about Star Wars.
Fan.
There's a big difference. We define what nerd versus
your delineation between nerds and geeks, man. That's not canon. Like that's not
canon.
That hasn't been quantified.
I think we proved
that exists in your world.
Yeah.
That distinction between the two.
Okay.
So you can call yourself a geek all you want, which justifies you're not being a nerd, but you're just a fake fan. That's all.
Okay.
You're just a fake fan. I'm calling you
a fraud. Would you call me a fraud?
I wouldn't call you a fraud. I'm just saying you're a fake Star Wars fan. That is the extent of my criticism of you. I'm sure you're a great guy. You're a great dad. You're a wonderful human being. You're a great.
When it comes
show
to Star
host.
Wars, you're calling me a fraud. Look,
but I'm not calling you a fraud. I said you're a fake fan. That's not quite a fraud. You don't say you're a fan, so therefore, you are not a fraud. If you if you kept trying to sell yourself as a fan, as a true fan, you would be a fraud. But you're not doing that, so you're not a fraud.
No,
you're a fake fan.
There are a bunch of like Star Trek Klingon jokes I could add but I'm not going to.
Don't make a Klingon joke in the Star Wars segment.
That's the whole point. If you understand,
but you would be doing it on purpose. But that's like playing with a little ball of plutonium. It seems like fun, but it's a bad idea.
That's like
even if you know you're doing wrong,
fan, and they're like, "Look, I hit a touchdown. I threw a home run."
Even I get that. See, you see that? I don't pretend to be a sports fan.
Dude, I was going to do that.
I don't pretend to be a sports fan. I'm a fake sports fan.
This, first of all, what was your reaction to this?
Speak
episode?
to me, fake fan.
What was your reaction being a true hardcore Star Wars nerd fan?
I was happy I think Rosario Dawson's
yes.
Shut up! Shut up! Why don't you shut up? Shut up, Dolce. Yes. I think Rosario Dawson's
it
Ahsoka.
Happened.
You want me to finish or what?
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. I think Rosario Dawson's Bo-Katan, Yoda, Bill Bixby, whatever. I think she presented really well. I was worried about that, and not because of Rosario Dawson. I'm just worried about translating a beloved cartoon character.
Can I almost say, and this is a credit to her.
Let me finish.
No, I will, but no. I'm just adding.
Bing.
I'm just adding on top of what you said, though. I did not see Rosario Dawson at all. Like, and this is a beautiful thing. Like, this is like one of those things where you sit there going, like, wow, that is just this.
No,
character.
and the thing is, it was hard to see Ahsoka, also, but it was easier to accept that this is a television. This is an older Ahsoka. She's in her 40s.
Yep.
This is
late 30s, I think, for Rosario. But go ahead.
No, 40s.
Oh yeah.
But the characters are in her 40s.
Oh, okay. I got you. Okay. Sorry.
Okay. She started at 14.
Okay.
And this is okay. So
fair enough.
Anyway, so shut up. We don't understand. Anyway, so
she's 41 too. Nuts, man.
Oh my God! Am I going to be allowed to finish?
I guess so.
You douche. Stop talking, douche. Anyway, yeah, it was good. Now I'm not talking anymore. I don't want to play anymore.
No, look, you were saying.
Nope, I don't care. I don't care what you have to say.
To finally see the character, which was an older character, but you know,
it was cool. It was. I mean, look, a translation like that can be a disaster.
Yeah.
It could just not look right. It could just look terrible. The actress could have played it with no reverence for what came before. You know, it was really good. She had her white lightsabers and she doled out some. I mean, look, towards the end of the Clone Wars series, Ahsoka was kind of not a joke, you know. Right. And then there's been scuttle on the internet about like why she's overpowered and why she's such an amazing fighter. I'm like, look, she was trained by Anakin Skywalker, with Obi-Wan Kenobi adjacent. You know, the girl knows what she's doing. So there's that. So I thought it was good. I thought they did a good job. I'd like to see more. I'm happy about it. I would have liked if they had tried. I would have liked to see what would have happened if they let Ashley Eckstein, who is the voice of Ahsoka Tano in a cartoon. I would have liked to see what would have happened if they let her do the role. But I didn't mind it. I did not mind Rosario Dawson.
Yeah, I liked it too. I thought there was
Then you're a fake fan, so of course you're gonna.
There was some. Well, you know, I read the blogs. I understand. Like I keep up on the news.
Yeah. Keep my ear to the ground.
Yeah, exactly.
I read the trades, man. I read the trades.
So I do though. I do. No, I think there was a gravitas to the episode. when she first appears in the very opening as well, to when she takes on the magistrate at the end, and there just was there's just a feeling like everything kind of got.
Who apparently was Bruce Lee's goddaughter.
Oh,
yeah, I think.
Goddaughter or granddaughter?
No, I think goddaughter.
So not actually related to Bruce Lee.
No, but I mean, she came up in that.
So Bruce Lee a Jace.
Yes.
Is what you're saying. No, but there was a gravitas to the episode. I thought everything about it gave the show a certain level, again, in a different way than the Spider episode.
Bruce Lee's goddaughter.
Okay. So Bruce Lee a Jace.
Yeah, Diana Lee Inosanto.
Very good. Didn't mess that one up.
Please go.
That I think that the rest of the season was kind of missing. The one thing I didn't like about it, though, was again by the end of it, it's just send him on his merry way.
Another
again.
fetch quest.
And it's like, you might not come here, but now you can go here. And it's like, well, why didn't someone just send me to this, damn tree?
This is what I'm saying. Remember what I was saying earlier is that the goodwill is going to not even about what I'm going to say in the next segment, but but just cut that part out.
I can't cut anything out.
Yeah, you can. No, yeah, you totally can. Scratch that. My attitude about it is that the goodwill, what I was saying to you last week when we were talking about this, is that eventually, if they don't up the stakes and start setting up a solid through line narrative and stop doing this, hit of the week, the goodwill is going to run out. And I've seen people complain about I'm tired of the monster of the week. There's the new people, new kids, millennials, and whatever. They're not geared for this kind of stuff.
That's
they're
true.
From week to week to week.
I also think the level of the quest for this season is one that can't be fulfilled, and they basically kind of answered it for me this episode. He succeeded in his quest, and now his quest has to continue because, well, we can't get rid of you now. We can't separate you and Baby Yoda. I mean, that's essentially what she was saying. She's essentially saying, no matter what.
You know what that was, though? That was the producers talking to them.
Yes.
you can't get rid of Baby Yoda.
Right.
Grogu. You can't get rid of little Grogu.
Right. Well, we'll get spoilers in case you haven't seen the episode. We'll get into the name calling in a minute. But
you watching us for if you haven't seen that episode, that's you're a moron if you're watching us without having seen it. But this
is the thing, though, right? Like, they basically this entire quest is going to be just null and void. It's going to be like, well, I mean, I guess the tree is basically saying you got to stick with me, and then it's like, well, then what the hell did I watch 6 episodes for? Except
there is a possibility that there will be a young Jedi. They will add a new young Jedi character to the roster of ongoing fans so that the Jedi can be training Grogu, spoiler, and we'll still get Mando, who's, doing whatever he's doing.
And that's
There's
the thing.
A possibility.
The Monster of the Week storyline can work if you kind of what they used to do. They used to establish the rules. Like, this season's a little different than last season. Last season, they did kind of establish the rules a little bit. They established you're on the run. Okay. You're on the run. So anything can happen week to week. You're going to go to these different places, but you're going to these different places because you're on the run. And you're going to meet different people and experience different things. You're going to conquer a monster every week, and life is good. I think that's why season 1 worked. Season 2 started off with you're on a quest. Okay. We're on a quest.
The teaser gave us that. Right. The teaser set it up long before the season even started. Right. Okay.
And right away we know this quest can't be fulfilled. It can't be fulfilled. Right. So this is where they are treading dangerous territory. It's not, catastrophic levels. It's not like I'm not going to watch season 3, but to your point that you've made many times before and will make even in future episodes, it will come to a point where, all right, why am I watching this? Am I just basically watching this to just catch a speeder, catch a stormtrooper, catch a, something from my fraudulent Star Wars past that I enjoyed, when I was a younger fan.
Yeah.
Because that's essentially what it is. It's a trip down memory lane.
It is. I mean, there's some cool stuff to it. Like I said last week about like watching speeder bikes, jump off a cliff and stuff like that. Stuff you don't see, stuff that's kind of meta, where you can see, you see, BMX bikers and stunt bikes and stuff, but you could see them with speeder bikes what?
There was a guy in jeans in one of the shots.
No, stop talking about that. There's always that guy is everywhere. There's a whole bunch of memes where they show that guy is like in almost every production. There's a guy in a blue shirt and jeans wandering around every production. But it doesn't matter. But you know what I'm saying? Like, and those moments are great moments that you look forward to. But ultimately, as with like Game of Thrones, this stuff can be easily discarded, very quickly discarded as fluff. And nowadays fans have an attitude of, why are you wasting my time? It's not like I'm not entertained by this, so I'm just going to watch something else. They're actually mad at the material for not living up to whatever their needs and expectations
but think about it too. I mean, back when Star Wars first came out, I mean, you had three network channels. You didn't have cable.
Well,
came in. So
I know
the difference now.
But I'm saying
we have other options. You're not the hot chick anymore.
But I mean, here's what I'm saying. In a normal society, people would be like, this is not my cup of tea. I'll watch something else. But instead, that person who decides to watch something else will also take the time to rail against how terrible this thing is.
You're wasting my time. I could be busy complaining about something.
Yeah, I could have been whining about something else that I actually liked instead of whining about this. So I'm going to destroy your show for having wasted my time.
Perfect segue into our final minute on this.
That's what I do. I mean, I do perfect segues. That's my
tee it up and I knock it down.
That's right.
The naming of the child. So this episode revealed Grogu. It's a good name.
It was about time, because everyone was adamant that he wasn't Baby Yoda, but people were like, we're not going to keep calling him the child, so you do something about it. And instead of it was less schlocky than him actually mentioning his name, you know?
Yes.
So,
yes.
So
Groot adjacent. Groot adjacent
in the name? A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah. Groot. Yeah. A little bit.
Yeah.
And I have my Baby Yoda and my Baby Groot on the shelf over there.
Yeah.
So holding hands.
I gotta say though, I'm gonna stick with Baby Yoda. In fact, I polled folks on the Facebook page as well. Are you sticking with Baby Yoda? Or are you gonna be calling him by the other name? Baby Yoda forever, says Alicia Davis. Eli Zimmer.
It's not his name.
Eli Zimmer said,
you're dead naming him.
Kid.
Don't dead name the child.
He says
you're dead naming him.
Kid. Carlos Martinez, Baby Yoda. Giovanna, Kenny, Baby Yoda, LOL. New name was just so odd and made him seem older. Not
this. Well, he's 50 years old.
Not that 900 years old isn't old.
Anyway, this more showcases their inability to adjust to reality. That's what that is. And I mock our fans. I don't care. I mock them.
Now, David Rosenberg, friend of the show, he says he's sticking with Grogu when he inevitably shows up in other Star Wars related media. A little older. Are we going to call him Kid Yoda or Teen Yoda? And I thought that is the name. That is the perfect name for a TV show.
These are great takes, guys.
What did you think? You're going to call them both? You're going to stick with it? What did you think of the episode? Comment in the Facebook feed. We will comment back. When we come back, we welcome writer Todd Black, host of Todd's Tidbits. Say that 5 times fast.
Or don't.
On to do a mini micro podcast within a podcast. We are just always breaking ground here when we come back. Welcome back to the Rogue Wave podcast. We are joined by Todd Black, writer and creator of Tokyo Blade Detective, now on Kickstarter issue 4. Todd, how you doing, sir?
Pretty good. How about you guys?
We are keeping it real and keeping it lively, as we always do every week. Tell folks real quick about the Kickstarter, Tokyo Blade Detective. We're fans of the book, and what's going on with the campaign and where they can get it.
Well, as you mentioned, we are on issue 4, which is the end of volume 1. So if you've never heard of Tokyo Blade Detectives, Michael, Detectives.
No, it's detective. I'm trying to help you.
It's okay.
As it goes.
Anyway, this is the perfect place to get started because we offer every single issue. What we did here was a special issue where we wrap up the story of the first 3 issues, have our own medium story, then preview what's going to come in the second arc, which hopefully will start next year. And for those who've never heard of the series, it's an anime comic. It's about Tokyo 200 years into the future. Guns are outlawed. Laser swords are back in. And there's a big mystery that happens right in the beginning, featuring our main character, Miko, a very angsty 16-year-old girl. And a lot of fun and sword fights ensue.
Gotta love it.
Yeah.
All right. Go check it out on Kickstarter. All right. Now,
Yes.
In addition to being a writer and comic book creator, you also host your own live stream show, and
I do.
It's called Todd's Tidbits. And I thought, because we are bereft of material, I said, you know what? Let's just have Todd on and have him do a show within the
No
show.
one's blowing us up, man. You do not have to blow us up to exalt someone else. All right.
Oh, okay.
Look at the
I
person
thought
he's
what a
exalting
genius
us on.
idea this would be to allow Todd to just. So basically, we are now guests on
There you
Todd's
go.
Tidbits.
Yes.
An amalgamized 10-minute segment.
We are both the tid and the bits in
Yeah.
Todd's Tidbits.
Let it roll. Let it roll.
All right,
This is
well,
now
if we're
your
going to do
show.
this, we're going to do this in style because, yes. Welcome to the very
Nice.
special episode of Todd's Tidbits. I am the Todd, and these are the tidbits. So, in very appropriate fashion, Michael here is wearing a Star Wars shirt, and of course, we are basically in the middle of Mandalorian Season 2. And while we won't spoil everything for you, though if you go on the comic site, you will be spoiled. Anyway, there's been a lot of things going on. Some good, some weird, and one very weird baby naming. So, but what I want to talk about, though, is my biggest thing going into Season 2 was, would they be able to keep the momentum going? Because as I noted about Mandalorian a lot on both my show and other places, I really felt that the Mandalorian was lightning in a bottle. And the reason I say that was because, we had the issues with the sequel series. You loved it, you hated it, you really hated Last Jedi. And you're like, can Star Wars ever recover? And then here comes Jon Favreau with Mandalorian and Pedro Pascal. And then, it just took off. I mean, between him and Baby Yoda and everything. And now Season 2 was like, can they keep the momentum up? And it was a little mixed at first, but then apparently the last episode, really took things off. And so what I want to ask you guys, and then we'll expand upon the ideas. We know that there's Season 3, and more than likely it's going to be Season 4.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty safe bet.
Very safe bet. So it's like, how long do we realistically think they could keep this going? Because we have all seen series Lost that have gone way beyond their expiration date, and it hurt them in the end in their overall view of the franchise. So how long do you honestly feel this could go and still maintain the quality of Season 1 and so far Season 2?
That's the bigger question is, do they have a plan? Right? Lost didn't have a plan until much later, and that's why it ended up dragging on in the middle of Season 3. Like Damon Lindelof basically was like, yeah, we had no idea when our ending was, so we had no idea when we could drop our clues. That's the first question. The second question, though, too, is this is not really a show that has an overarching story. As Hassan has pointed out on previous episodes of our show, I mean, this is really a week-to-week show. It's built that way. It's not built as a streaming show. So our brains are just not wired for this anymore. So I think it can go for as long as they can keep things, interesting. But that's a really obvious answer, right?
5 years.
It's an honest answer. It's an honest answer.
I say 5 years.
I think 5 is what you always. But that's the thing, right? In episodic television, that's what you'd shoot for. You'd shoot for 5 seasons.
I say because this season is kind of going over pretty well, right? So it's got over its sophomore hump, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to have another season, which probably will be hopefully quality before the goodwill from the successful second season starts to wear off. Yeah. So probably around the middle, if they haven't upped the stakes and put together a really intricate narrative, probably around the middle of Season 5, everyone's going to start getting off the boat.
That's the thing, right? The
My
stakes,
in my
Stakes.
estimation,
right? Like
Yeah,
this
my
is not a
prediction
season.
sure to go wrong.
Yeah, this is not a show that very often raises the stakes. It always feels like they're going to get away. It always feels like it's I dare to say it's like a feel good show. By the end, it was just kind of feel good. You're like, all right, I think the spider episode in season 2 was maybe the closest I think they've come to having, legitimate stakes, because they also had a side character that I didn't know if was going to make it or not. So I don't know. They've got to figure out. They've got to determine, are they going to
5
continue?
years.
What's that?
5 years.
5 years.
Well,
Yeah.
they have to determine, are they going to follow what the rest of the world, the rest of the streaming / TV world has done, which is create, a real overarching storyline that we can see this going 5 years, or are they going to stick episode to episode? Because if not, 5 years, it's Quantum Leap territory. Quantum Leap was never bad. It was always
Except
good.
the ending.
I love the ending.
How do you like the ending? It was a text box. It said he never made it home.
Yeah, I thought you kind
And
of
it was misspelled.
It
Was
was
it really?
misspelled.
There are typos in it. There are
Where's the
typos in that text. Yeah, that
Really?
block of text.
Oh my gosh, I gotta look that up.
Yeah.
Are you really
Yeah.
serious?
Yeah, it was a
No, I'm
quantum
serious.
leap in grammar.
No.
Tidbit.
You're welcome.
Tidbit right there.
Yeah,
Ooh,
but
that was wow. That
Quantum Leap's
hurts.
ending was I think as good a series finale as you're gonna get. It brought back some of the old people, so it gave you a
It
gave. Yeah.
It did give you that kind of, because he basically he didn't return home by choice.
Right.
So it did give you, it was kind of a happy, sort of a happy-ish ending,
Right.
Weird.
Ish.
But I think that's because if I remember correctly, I think they got canceled. I think they thought they were going to get
Yes.
another season, and they got canceled. And they just put an end on it,
Yeah.
And so it was. I mean, I guess it was rushed.
Yeah.
But that was a heavy ending.
But going back to Mandalorian, I agree with a lot of your points. My biggest thing is that
5
with
years.
season 1, they really tried to step away from everything in regards to like the Skywalker saga, and only at the very end did we get the return of the Empire, the dark saber, and everything. And now in season 2, we've already had Ahsoka Tano and Boba Fett. And spoilers,
Bo-Katan.
and who's going to be next? Because this is like an escalation battle now, because you're gonna have to keep it relevant. There's already rumors about maybe Sebastian Stan coming back as Luke Skywalker, which I would dig entirely. But where's the escalation?
I
It's like
could
Michael
see
said,
him
it's very
actually as Luke
episodic.
Skywalker.
By what was that?
I could see him as Luke Skywalker.
Oh, there's art. There's already art. All right, it's actually pretty good stuff. And I think I saw even a deep fake of Sebastian Stan's face on Luke's body in the original films. Anyway, but
Why?
yeah, but
Why?
the point here is that there is an escalation that has to go on. Like season 1 was what do we do with the child. Season 2 is we got to find the child's home, and what's going to be number 3, and you got Goff Midian or Gideon or whatever his name is.
Gideon.
Yeah, him.
Gideon.
Moff Gideon.
Goff Midian. Nice.
Goff
Okay.
Midian. Yeah.
No, Goff Midian's his evil twin.
Ooh, plot twist. There's season 3.
That's his evil twin sister.
Oh,
She's a
snap.
goth.
How progressive.
She's got black nail polish and everything.
How dark side.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I don't know how long they'll keep it going, but I feel like it's a lightning in a bottle situation. They're like Hassan said, they're playing with goodwill, and that's working for them so far. But all they need is one season that's like The Last Jedi, and they're done. So, then
it can be quicker and closer than we could possibly imagine.
yes. So
I just saw a tweet today. I won't say who sent the tweet, but they basically said Game of Thrones was like the biggest television show in the last decade, if not the biggest show in the world.
Yep.
Period. Right. And a year later, we don't even talk about it anymore because of one bad season, bad
and
season.
a terrible series finale.
So I gotta cut in for a second. They
ahead.
did misspell his last name. Like I'm
Knew
reading
it.
about this right now. This is
Knew it.
and I'm throwing it up on the screen for everyone to read. On cracked.com, you can actually go and read all about how bad it was, and Hassan, because Hassan's usually very correct with this kind of stuff. apparently they didn't know they were canceled. So they slapped a title card on the end explaining Sam never effing made it home. Thanks for watching, assholes. Beep was implied.
Yeah, and
not stated.
And we're gonna misspell his name to show
And wait,
contempt
this
for
is
the show.
This is crappy for a couple reasons. Firstly, every opening of every episode had the narrator stating that Sam hoped the next leap would be the leap home. So this is kind of a blunt way of pooping all over his whole objective. Secondly, they were presumably so rushed they didn't even have time to spell check and realize they spelled their own main character's name wrong.
Yep.
But seriously, thanks for watching.
Yeah. Well, it's television, everybody.
Gotta love it, though. I gotta love it because not only that, you've now inspired what we're gonna do next week, which I will announce at the end of this segment.
Ooh.
Which is very, very exciting.
Intriguing.
That's not fair. Thanks. Because now I'm going to be stuck with whatever we're going to do next week.
So Todd, I'm going to take over your tidbit for a second. We opened the show with a tweet from Ryan Johnson saying that he was thinking about having Anakin as a Force ghost in Last Jedi instead of Yoda. So the Yoda Luke Skywalker scene might have been an Anakin Luke Skywalker scene. What's your take on that notion? Deeply in thought.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
You got to do it. Hassan does.
By Todd Black.
Let me Thank you. I want to be clear on something. Even if he did this, Last Jedi could not be saved. But it's an interesting notion because
I actually think that might have saved it.
no, not even close.
No, couldn't.
No,
They couldn't.
not
save
even close.
it.
All right.
We won't.
Okay. From a fan perspective, I think it would have been interesting because, as we know, the only times that Luke and Anakin interacted was at the end of Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
You know, where he took off the helmet. He's like, "I want you to see me with my own eyes," and blah blah blah. That could have been an interesting thing because who better than Anakin, a guy who went from the light to the dark to the light, can help out Rey. I understand. This is one of the few things I understand that why Ryan Johnson did this because Luke and Yoda had the connection, like that he was his mentor.
And it made
more
sense.
Or less.
It made sense to have them. Yeah.
I mean, and let's be honest, if somehow Alec Guinness was alive, they would have put Obi-Wan instead. Like that would have been the most awesome thing.
They
to
would have
do.
gone for whatever nostalgia hit was more potent.
But it's that was exactly it. But though it's like that's why they did Yoda, because not only did they have Yoda, they had Frank Oz Yoda. All right,
Yeah.
the original voice of Yoda coming in and
the
teaching
puppet,
Luke.
him being a puppet and not a CG character.
Exactly. So they were going full nostalgia there, and I will not lie, I honestly liked that scene. Like Yoda schooling Luke. Read those texts you did not. Page turners, they are not. That was fun. That was good stuff. And then the lightning on the tree to shows like it doesn't mean anything. It's about moving forward. I like the scene in general. Would it have been interesting to have Anakin there? Yes, but if you recall, there's actually a bit of a debate about what form Anakin would have taken the Force Ghost, because in the original Return of the Jedi, it was the the full on Darth Vader, but without the scars, and then in the Lucas re-edit, one of the infinite Lucas re-edits. I heard that joke.
Wouldn't it be amazing if they recast Anakin with Sebastian Stan?
But the original actor's name was Sebastian Shaw, the guy who played Anakin in Return of the Jedi. That's his name.
Really?
Sebastian Shaw. Yeah.
Like the X-Men character.
Right. The Hellfire Club guy.
That's wow. What are the odds of that? And now
I'm making it up.
That's that's the kind of stuff I love, because she's just like, what are the odds of that? Do you know?
Wait, I don't know. I think I made it up.
No,
everything.
No, but anyway,
I'm gonna Google this.
Why? I can understand why Rian would like that, because it would.
Sebastian Shaw.
Yeah.
Look at you. Okay.
That's crazy. That's crazy. But I can see why he wanted to bring in Anakin, because I think that would have been a nice big shock. But
Sebastian Shaw.
Yeah, but I can see why he didn't, because Frank Oz Yoda is the bigger nostalgia hit. It makes the more sense that Luke would listen to him as a mentor versus his father just suddenly showing up. It's like, Dad, where were you all these years? Hello, I've been here for how long?
We were saying though, and this is again, we will never know. This is conjecture and thought and conjecture, and maybe you're most likely right that it would not have saved the film. It would have done a nice job of connecting all 9 films, because these last 3 don't connect. It also would have been interesting too It would have been interesting. I don't understand why that was a card that was never played, though, because Kylo Ren is modeling himself after Darth Vader. To not, like, why would you not play the card? It doesn't even have to be in Last Jedi. Now I'm even thinking in the,
look,
in the Rise of Skywalker. I mean,
and you said this a number of times, right? You're a proponent of this yourself. They didn't want to touch the prequels.
Nope.
They'd rather throw in Harrison Ford. They'd rather throw in Yoda. They'd rather get every nostalgia beat they could from the original trilogy, and they didn't want to acknowledge the sequels.
Yeah.
Which I got to give you credit for, Hassan, though, as being a as being a prequel fan.
I'm a prequel fan.
Well, but I have to recognize that there was an entire generation of kids that grew up watching the prequels, or big kids, watching the prequels. And so it was endearing to them because everything that you watch or consume when you are a kid is more sacred than when you are an adult.
Absolutely.
So.
And they look, even in Mandalorian, a lot of the Mandalorian is acknowledging the prequels.
Yes.
Very much of it, because we can't. They have 6 films to fall back on in order to give them the imagery and the atmosphere of the world that they had built, and the sequels are just not in the picture yet, so they can't really hit you over the head with any sequel imagery. So look, if to ignore the prequels, you ignore them at your peril, because you can broaden your story with them.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why they're doing so much Clone Wars stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, and Ahsoka Tano is like the weird middle ground, because she's technically prequel saga because of the Clone Wars cartoon, and then Rebels, which was technically main series.
Yeah.
But she's the middle ground because everyone hated Ahsoka when she debuted. Like, she was just there. Like, oh, Anakin has a Padawan. That's not canon. And now we can't get enough Ahsoka Tano. Right. So, and that's the great middle ground. But I don't know. You're not wrong, Hassan, that they were ignoring the prequels heavily. I grew up on the prequels. I loved the prequels. I see the flaws. It's hard not to, but I can see the flaws in the original series, and I could totally see the flaws in the sequel series. So it's like Michael said, it's when you grew up. The purists love the originals and tolerate the rest. I grew up watching the VHSs of the originals and I loved them, but when I got to see Star Wars on a big screen, that meant the world to me. And I was talking with my dad all the way home from the theater when we saw Revenge of the Sith. I was like, oh man, I can't believe that epic battle of Mustafar, and that's how Anakin became Darth Vader, and the scene where Darth Vader's just rising up. That's just a great shot and everything. And I loved it. It was great for me. Again, there are flaws. Of course there are flaws. I could find plenty of plot holes in the prequel series, and it's how you do it. But I still love the prequels, but other people don't, and that's their right.
Yeah.
So that's
can't
you know what I call that?
What?
You know what I call that? I call it an amazingly poignant way of rounding out Todd's tidbits in this episode of Rogue Wave.
You fell for that, Todd. You see,
Bravo.
He set you up and knocked you over with that one.
Tell folks one more time about the Kickstarter, where they can get it, and how long we got left.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Tokyo Blade Detectives number 4. It is on Kickstarter right now. You're going until Monday, 5 p.m. Central Time. We are already fully funded. We are at 80 backers currently, and we're trying to get to 100. So if you can pledge, please pledge soon.
All right, look it up on Kickstarter. Todd, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for humoring me with coming up with Todd's Tidbits segment. We will do this one, but you know what? I have no problem doing this because this is less work for us, more work for you, and I kind of like
there
that.
you go. You're being honest again. Just tell him. Just tell him you're doing him a favor. Don't tell him you're doing us a favor. What's the matter with you?
And not only that, but you came up with our segment for next week. Next week, the series finales that angered fans the most.
Oh, I want to be a part of that. Darn it. I would totally want to be a part of that because I want to talk Supernatural ending. Darn it.
Well, maybe. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
You shot your wad, though, man. You gave it away. Don't do that.
We'll also talk Mandalorian. The next chapter comes out. We are
and hopefully Mandalorian will not be in that category.
Hopefully not.
When its season finale comes out.
This is very
hopefully,
true.
Yeah.
Series finale.
Yeah.
And we will welcome some more special guests next week. We'll see you then.
Rogue Wave.